Oh, man.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. We are here. It is now Drum Brigade Podcast, episode 27. Man,
Hell
27. Yeah. We're here in beautiful San Diego, California at the Beat Locker. Actually, at Phil's Castle. What's the hassle? I'm Corey Kingston Horn, sitting next to me, not even across this time. Next, pushing buttons, turning knobs, producing the show, holding it down, coming in hot, coming in late. Had to ride my Vespa here today. Lots of problems going on in San Diego right now for me. But anyways, sitting across from me, he's fantastic. He's filthy. Funky Phil Pardell. What's up, Funky Phil? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Me.
Phil, we got a special guest in the house.
We do.
Yes, sir.
Big time.
Another local San Diego drummer hanging out with us in the Beat Locker. He plays in a band called Exit 6. Played a NAMM Show event this year, holding it down, kicking it with us the whole episode. Mr. James Coleman. Oh,
what
buddy.
What up?
Man, thank you for coming in with us, man. It's so cool.
Thank you for having me. This is amazing.
Yeah. Dude, seriously, don't tell anybody how janky our show is. We got a rough start today.
Everybody. It's not that bad, people. It's not that bad.
Man, they could not get the levels right. I was like at least 40 minutes late.
Yeah.
I think some of that should be on the show, really.
Yeah. Me and Phil are just like having a debacle on wrap-up music. Mm-hmm. Everything's just going. It's going good. It's going to be a good show.
It's going to be perfect.
I'm not even going to get negative right off the bat. It's going to be good. We got a special guest coming in on the phone today. It's Davey Warsop. He plays in a band called Sharp Shock. Plays in a band called Suedehead. Used to play in a band called Suedehead. Used to play in a band called Beat Union.
You used to play with these bands.
Yes, I did. They sound very familiar to me. Davey is a great dude, man. He's English.
Sweet.
He's a producer. He's an engineer. He's a songwriter. We got a lot to talk about with him, so we're going to have him on. He's not so much a drummer, although I have seen him play drums, and he's not bad. So, yeah, we'll get him on. We'll talk to him. Before we get started, let me let you in on some information about the Drum Brigade and the Drum Brigade Podcast. First of all, the Drum Brigade Podcast, you can listen to it on many different platforms, Funky Phil and James. You can listen to this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn, drumbrigade.com, YouTube, and Spotify. We are working on the web show. We say it every week, but we are working on it. We need a place, man. We need a place really bad. We need a place to build a set. But it still is going. We got a new intro. It came out last week. We haven't posted it yet, but it is dope. Our buddy Jeremy did that. He has a series called The Brewer's Story. He does like all these documentaries with different breweries. So he's now working with Drum Brigade for our web show. Slowly but surely, but it is coming. I promise. All right? I promise. We have a lot of content on our YouTube page besides our podcasts. There's lesson videos. There's product reviews. First season of this podcast was our web show. You can watch every episode on our YouTube page. And then Funky Phil and I, James, do you have a website?
I do not.
Okay. That's all right.
Our band does, but I don't.
Okay, cool. So Funky Phil and I have websites, CoreyKingston.com, PhilPardell.com. On our websites, we also have links to a bunch of different things, our YouTube pages. Phil has lessons, play-alongs, sheet music, all kinds of stuff you can download, take advantage of. On mine, you can watch my vlog called A Day in the Life of a Drummer. We also have some lesson videos and all that stuff on mine. So hit the subscribe button on the YouTube stuff and our social media. Follow James's band, Exit 6. Check it all out. Follow us. Drum Brigade is a community. It's a place for family, friends, place for drummers, drum enthusiasts, future drummers, people who are just playing into music and culture, to be among like-minded individuals. Drum Brigade is a way to support each other as fellow drummers, but also means to push each other to excel and expand horizons in a spirit of camaraderie, rather than negative competition. Drum Brigade has products. We have t-shirts, sticks, stickers, as well as educational tools, lessons, video lessons, private lessons, sheet music, play-alongs. We have community events like sheds and live broadcasts, all kinds of stuff like that. You name it, we do it all for our community, the drum community. Drum Brigade is the Brotherhood of Drums. Guys, are you part of the Brotherhood of Drums, the Drum Brigade?
You know it.
Yeah. Also, before I forget, we're having a contest, Funky Phil.
Yeah, it's not really advertised yet.
It's not advertised yet, but we're working on it.
Still
We're
working on it.
Like what's his name said. Wait.
I'm still working on it myself.
Okay, yeah. Jeff Endyke. So we have some amazing companies coming on board to help us out. Every show we're going to talk about them. They're like sponsoring our show in a way by giving you people stuff that you want.
Yeah.
All right, so check it out. So far, we have Drum Brigade on board. Yay. Okay, of course we have Drum Brigade on board. Of course. We got a nice care package to give away with some drumsticks, a t-shirt, some stickers. It's basically a one of everything that we have for you. We got Haram coming on. Oh, boy. Haram Drumsticks is coming on. They're giving us some awesome products. They're giving us half a brick of sticks for you people.
Holy
A
smokes.
stick bag, a t-shirt. Dude, their sticks are good. Their sticks are really good.
Yeah.
I'm jumping on board. I got some at NAMM, so
Yeah.
jumping on board.
I think I am too.
Yeah.
I mean,
they've come a ways since I first met them.
yeah.
I mean, they were still good, but they're like
no,
they stand shoulder to shoulder with any of the other companies. I think
Definitely.
No, yeah.
Definitely. And they're like the coolest guys. They're so cool. Like they're so different from like the major companies that you can't get a hold of, or you get like pushed around, or they forget who you are, or I don't want to get on a soapbox just yet about that. But no, Haram is cool. They're cool people. They will take the time and talk to you. They'll take the time for a small show like ours. And that's really cool. So thank you guys. Then we got some other companies that just came on board this week. Oh man, we're so excited. I can't believe it. So Aquarion drumheads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Aquarion drumheads hasn't said specifically what they're going to be giving us, but it's big, dude.
And they make the best drum heads in the world.
In the world. Sorry, James. I don't know what you play, but you seem like a Remo guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Remo's cool too.
I do have some snare. Oh, I use their super kicks, which are amazing.
Yes. Okay,
and I
they are
have
amazing.
a couple snare drums that have Aquarions on them. So
Yes.
I am a fan. Roy
Okay,
Burns
cool.
is amazing.
Roy Burns, yes. Roy Burns was amazing, and their heads are second to none as far as Phil and I are concerned. They're going to be giving us a huge care package. They were basically like, you name it, you can have it for your listeners because we love you guys.
Yes.
Dude, Aquarion is so dope. I love it. So thank you guys, Aquarion. Oh man, thank you. We will know shortly, probably this week, what we can get from them, and then we'll be posting that on our social media, so you guys can check that out. A personal sponsor of mine is coming on to give you people some good stuff. That is Brixton Clothing, Brixton Apparel. Woo. Yeah. Dude, I can't say enough about these companies, man. These are like companies that Phil and I personally like support and represent, and that's so dope for these guys to like rise to the occasion to help us to grow our show, help us to give away stuff for you guys. So we're really excited about that. Brixton is sending over a box full of goodies for you guys to wear and look as cool as me. Yeah, Phil.
Or try.
Yeah. Okay, so last but not least, Big Bang Distribution. Big Bang handles Ahead armor cases and a bunch of other companies, like hundreds of other companies. They've come on board to give us a few products. Hold on, I got to shout out this guy. Let me find it. Oh, boy. This is professional right now. This is really professional. Okay, I got it. So we got some bass drum pillows, a bass drum pillow for you guys. It's made by John Maker, I think, or maybe a guy named John who is the maker of pillows. We're not sure, but John Maker, we're going to go with John Maker from Big Bang Distribution is going to be offering awesome kick drum pillow designed strictly for your bass drum to make it sound awesome. You pair that up with an Aquarion drum head, you're in business. So shout out to those guys too. Thank you guys so much. Big Bang Distribution, John Maker, the maker of drum pillows, or John, maker of drum pillows. John, maker of, I don't know what it is, but we're
Sounds
gonna
like
find
you covered
out.
all bases right there.
we're gonna find out. This is like, we'll find out, and then we'll have it dialed in. So, man, thank you guys so much. Oh my gosh, big round of applause by our studio audience. Crazy. We're working on some others. We're gonna have so many things to give away, and so many sponsors of this show that we are just gonna spend the whole show talking about that. All right, now with all the business stuff out of the way, you guys ready to get into it?
Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
Man,
Yeah.
the show's going places now.
Big time.
I mean, with those kind of giveaways, we can't help but grow. I
Yeah.
honestly thought, if we could get a snare drum head, even if we have to buy it with our artist price or something, maybe we can just do that.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, we'll just hook it up, man. I'm like,
It's so rad.
okay.
It's important though. If you want to enter, you've got to leave your social media handle on your review so we can track you down.
Right. So I forgot to mention that. If you're so this contest has to do with leaving a review for our podcast on iTunes or any of our other platforms, but preferably iTunes. So basically the way it works is I doubt if we're going to get in the top, what do they call that in podcasting? When you're in the suggested podcast to listen to.
I don't even listen to podcasts.
Okay. Well, on iTunes, if you're big enough, these are people that have millions of listeners. That's your problem, Phil. You should listen to podcasts.
I got a lot of problems, Corey.
Starting with this podcast.
Well, I listen to ours.
Okay. Then you listen to podcasts.
I mean, while I'm mixing it.
Okay. That's cool. Whatever. If you listen to this podcast, if you're having trouble finding it, the more reviews you get and the more listens you get, the higher up on the iTunes list of podcasts, there's millions probably, you get. So you can, if you get enough reviews and enough listens, you can get into the top whatever 100 you should listen to this podcast list. That's essentially what we would want, but I doubt this janky niche podcast will get there.
Can you just buy your way in there?
No, I don't think so.
I was going to say, we just need to have a crowdfunding thing.
Yeah, that's not going to work though. Like Radio Lab and those kind of big name podcasts
I
are
have
the ones
listened
that
to
get
Radio
into that.
Lab.
Yeah, Radio Lab's dope.
Yeah.
But it's those are the kind of podcasts that get on the hey, you should listen to this one. Or somebody famous like Joe Rogan's podcast or something like that. So obviously Drum Brigade Podcast is probably not going to do that, but it's still going to help us by getting reviews and having people listen to our show. It's going to help us. So we need those reviews. We need that kind of stuff. We need comments. We need likes. We need all that stuff. So if you leave a review for us on iTunes, you will be in the running to win any of these wonderful, fantastic, amazing prizes from all these cool companies. But if you want to win, you have to leave your review, and then you have to leave your @ whatever it is, like on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever, so we can track you down and get you your prize. Right?
That's right.
So, Phil's snapping pictures. Phil is not paying attention. Phil.
Dude, you said we got to do social media while we're recording. You don't do it.
Yeah, because I'm talking.
Someone's got to do it.
All right, so leave your handle, and then we can get in touch with you. Otherwise, there's no way to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now let's get into it again. Gosh. All right, let's try this again for crying out loud, Funky Phil.
Dude.
Guys, how was your week this week? How was your gigs this week? Did you guys play any gigs? I got a lot to say, so I'm going to let you guys go first because a lot has happened. And you know how it goes with me, Funky Phil. All right, let's start with you, James, since you're our guest.
Yeah, no, it's been a mellow couple of weeks. So yesterday was basically changing drum heads on 4 snares. So yeah,
Wow, that's
exciting.
fun.
It's exciting.
Dude, James showed me he has a complete list of equipment that he's got. It's mind-blowing.
Oh, man.
You've got to show it to Corey at some point.
I can
today.
show you mine, too. I got a good list going right now, too.
You can't touch
But I
James,
know it's
I
not.
promise.
So are you, James, are you a collector or like, what is the deal? Because, okay, let me explain. So like we're gonna talk about James. Let's just get into that after. Let's just talk about your week, but we're gonna talk to you about what you do and how you do it.
Okay.
But first of all, how was your week? You just changed some drum heads.
Changed some drum heads. Went to the gym for the first time in 2.5 months and feeling some pain. So yeah.
We have a weird thing, like a weird relationship with the gym, because if you work out too hard and then you have a gig that night, it's like
It's no good.
it's no good.
It's no good.
So there's days where I'm like, oh, I want to go to the gym today. I'm feeling energized and like I'm gonna do this, but then I'm like, but I gotta play tonight and like I need my arms.
I would suck tonight if
Yeah.
I had to play.
Oh man. Funky Phil, how was your week?
It was really busy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I played a lot. And I'm
Dang.
really tired.
picking up for you, huh?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
This is normally when it
good.
starts, ramping up.
It was a good week.
Yeah.
Very busy. We did that industry release show.
Oh
For
yeah.
the Carly Johnson,
Okay, I
yeah.
need to ask you about that. How was the sound?
The sound was pretty terrible.
Did he really not have anything in his monitor?
Nothing.
No way.
It might as well have not even been on stage.
Wow.
I mean, the house, out in the house, it sounded good. I'd never been there before.
Where was it?
Hotel Cafe.
I don't know that place. In LA,
It's like
right?
a hip spot in LA, like right in Hollywood.
Wow.
But
so big time, Phil.
it's a small room, dude. I thought it was going to be like, it has all this, people talk about that spot, but it's a pretty small place.
Yeah.
And the stage is tiny.
Really?
And she has like a big, she's got like a horn section and,
Wow.
keys and guitar and bass and backup singers.
Wow.
Like a lot of people squeezed on that little stage.
Wow. So,
But-
but it was a good showcase gig.
Yeah, it went great. She sounded awesome, and I think she made some good connections there.
Nice.
And I got to sit in on that one tune. And it was fun. It went well.
That's cool. How does drum sound?
Didn't use his drums. We would use the house drums.
Oh, house drums. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
used his snare though, and his cymbals,
Cool.
and they were good. He had
That's
like
nice.
some vintage snare. I think it might have been a Radio King.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, that's cool. So the sound, you got through it, but it could have been better.
Yeah,
That was
And
a
then
big debacle last
Then
week
I played
for
the
them.
Belly Up, which
Nice. Amazing sound.
has fantastic sound.
Yeah. They still got
That was
that
good.
that older dude, that like rocker dude that does the sound there.
He wasn't running. You mean the guy? He usually does like the stage monitors.
Yeah.
It wasn't him today. It was a different. I mean, that day it was a different dude.
That dude was so funny. Like when I was playing in the Agrolites, we had like an organ player that was, he's a pretty good organ player, but for like reggae stuff. And when we were sound checking, the guy's like, can you try the organ out? And then like the guy's like just tapping on it or whatever. And then we were all done. And then he sits down on the organ and like rips
No
at
way.
organ, dude. Like rips. Like but he was playing like 80s rock. Like it sounded like he was playing Yes.
Oh boy,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
that's
and
James's
he was
department.
yeah, he was killer though. Like I was like, what the heck? And then he just like walked off and just started doing sound again. Like it was so crazy. That guy's really good at that.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, Phil. I'm glad that gig went well and you had a good showcase. And you played with Carly.
Yeah, it was good. And I'm a year older. It was my birthday this week.
Yeah. Wait a
Happy
minute.
birthday,
Wait a
Funky
minute.
Phil.
There you go. Catching up to me, Phil.
I'm gonna catch you.
I got all y'all.
I'm gonna get older than you soon.
You're not a kid anymore, dude. That's cool. So for me, I'm not going to talk about my first gig of the week because that's my soapbox.
Uh-oh.
Second gig was fine. Wife came and hung out. Usual, I have my weekly like residencies. Easy gig. It was raining. whatever. It's cool. I had my first show with my new band, Tigros. Woo. Man, that was fun, dude.
I wish I could have been there.
So much fun. Like, we threw our own show for our friends and our family at the old Drum Brigade studio.
Studio 528.
Studio 528, yeah. And we threw it in a different room, but we like decked it out, lights, full sound, had a projector going. Like, they brought in pizzas, drinks.
Oh my gosh.
It was like only for friends and family, though. It was like close friends, close family.
That's why I wasn't invited, right?
I invited you, dude.
I know. I'm just kidding.
You had a gig, though.
I know. I wanted to be there. I listened to that. You gave me the vinyl.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. I
Dude,
love it.
thank you.
It's so good.
It's really
jamming out to
cool.
it.
It's really fun. That band is so fun. The guys are so cool. And like, we just released an album, full length. Super great songwriter, singer-songwriter. He's also an engineer and producer. Does great like programming drums and all that. He's just like really good. So anyways, the band was really great. Really fun. And the show went like as good as it could go. It was like totally cool. And I was actually nervous because it was all my friends and family, not just random bozos in the audience.
Yeah.
So
Those are always the hardest.
yeah. So it was that. That was really cool. And then the rest is just like the other gigs this week were just normal gigs. I started up with the Schmucky Metals again. Woo! So that's gonna start picking up. I think that was my first real gig for the season for this year. So gigs are picking up. It's good. It hasn't been the worst slow season for me, but
Yeah, that residency thing is
is
pretty dope.
saving my life right now. And then I've been getting like other random gigs just during the week, so that's good. But dude, this week I go to Vegas, bring in my scooter out there.
Oh, no.
Did you figure it out?
I did. So I got all my pieces that I need. I have a small car, and I got like a motorcycle carrier from Harbor Freight, but I bought it on Craigslist. And then I got all the other stuff to connect that to my car, and then it all came on the same day. So
wow.
I was like, sweet, I'm going to hook this up. So I did it. I put my scooter on. I drove around the block. It's a bit janky, dude. I'm not going to lie. It's a bit scary. But it worked. So I'm going to use some more tie downs, attach it, and then drive around and
Gorilla Glue.
Maybe that'll work. I don't know, man. Rope. Yeah, I don't know. But it just moves a little bit more than I thought.
Uh-oh.
And it's low to the ground. Like pulling in my driveway, it's scraped.
Oof.
So if I'm on the freeway and I hit a bump,
You'll be
my
fine.
Vespa may or may not come off.
It's pretty. I mean, the road to Vegas is pretty straight and smooth.
Yeah.
It's not like a lot of steep inclines or.
Yeah. So I rehearsed with that band last night, the band that I'm going to Vegas with, and it was off the hook, dude. It was like just pure two-tone ska.
Yeah, we watched your live video.
Oh, yeah. I was having fun, man. That was really fun. That was so fun. That was, so that band is like that. It's just like a novelty band playing all that two-tone ska stuff. And we haven't played in years and years. And so we're going out there to play a Vespa scooter rally. I'm a nerd. Don't make fun. All right. And I'm actually bringing my Vespa, and I'm going to wear the little skinny suit and the tie and everything when I play. And like, I'm going to be sca'd out, man.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. So honestly, I could care less about playing the gig. I'm so excited about going and riding my Vespa with all the other nerds and playing the gig that night. And like, it's like a little vacation for myself.
Are you going to gamble?
I don't gamble, dude.
What?
No, I don't gamble.
Nah.
I won't do it.
But you can win
I'm with
lots
you on
of
that one,
money.
dude.
Or you can lose lots of money, Phil.
Yeah. My wife and I went to one of the casinos last night, and she was like, "Put money." And I'm like, "No." I'm just gonna go buy a beer. I feel I'm safer spending money on that than throwing it in the slot machine.
Exactly. I used to, like, with my ex-wife was a little weird with gambling. She couldn't, like, she had no self-control.
Oh, yeah, that's that's the bad kind.
And it wasn't like she had a problem, but we'd like go to Vegas and we'd put like 20 on black or whatever. And then we'd lose, so then we'd put like 40 on black, and then we'd win all our money back plus $40. But then that was like, we could win more. And I was like, no, let's just walk away.
Like, we need to tap out.
Yeah, like that's it. Like, that's cool. We're done. But yeah, not anymore, man. No, I won't. I won't do it. Not even a little bit. Not even a quarter in a slot machine. I'm just not going to do it. I don't like that feeling.
Slot machine's a waste of money.
Yeah, but I won't deal with that feeling of like, I don't like feeling that. I feel like that's greedy. Like, oh man, I could win more. Let me just do a little bit more. Like, it's like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. You know what's funny? You get that same feeling. I drive Lyft occasionally and Uber sometimes.
It's like gambling.
And it is like gambling. You're like, well, if I stay on for like one more ride, I can get like,
I might get a really good tipper.
Yeah. You're like, I've been doing this for 4 hours and I can't feel my legs, but you're like, but one more ride.
And that one more could be the drunk one that throws up in your car.
And that's true. So it's a gamble. You're like, I'm willing to take that chance.
I've only been gambling a couple times and it's been really good.
You win every time.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I should give you $20 and then you can gamble it for me.
To be fair, my first time it was in Vegas and we went with a friend who lived there. And knew the best thing to do was playing craps in a very specific way.
Okay.
And
that doesn't sound sketchy at all.
Craps. Well, no, craps you can't rig. Everything else in a casino is riggable, pretty much. Even the roulette table can be like rigged.
What's craps? Oh, when you
That's
throw
the
the
one
dice,
like in all the movies. Where
you're throwing the dice.
They're always in a cooler.
Yeah.
Or a meat locker in the back.
Like most people don't play it because it's really confusing looking.
That's when you're like, scary. seven.
But any number could be a winner or a loser. So you can't like weigh dice. There's no way to rig it.
So you put $1 on every number.
No. I can't remember all the specifics, but you can bet on what other people are doing for them to win or lose or to do something. And yeah, it's just a matter of like you segregate your chips. Like once you've got a couple, you take them off limits for betting. And then if you just keep doing that, like we came out ahead out of Vegas.
Wow. Well,
and then we did it again at Viejas when we had like a band party over there. And everybody just walked away with extra money.
So you're the problem, Phil, because you're like, well, maybe Phil said it's easy. I could do it.
I can't remember how to do it. I mean, it's not like a gamble. I've only been a couple times, so I'm sure I would, if I did it more, I would lose a lot probably. Yeah. But,
well,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's just not my thing, man. I want to go ride my scooter and drink some beer and.
Yeah,
and I'm with you on the beer part.
Yeah. And I'd
kill myself on the scooter. Yeah.
Well, it might not make it to Vegas, to be honest. It might not make it. Like,
so can you ride like Razors at this?
No, they're Vespas, Phil, and Lambrettas. Like it's a vintage scooter.
How about one wheels? Can you ride one wheels?
No. It's a vintage scooter rally.
Yeah,
vintage scooter rally. So it's gonna be fun. I leave Thursday. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Anyways, James, thank you for coming on our show. So what is going on with you? You just played at a NAMM Show event.
Yes.
It was the same place we held our event last year. How did that go? How was NAMM Show for you? And then, so let's start with that.
Yeah, no, NAMM is like I'm a kid in a candy store at that place. I mean, granted, you don't listen to music in the car on the drive home because you're deaf.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love meeting people and hanging out and seeing what all the gear is and all that stuff.
That's cool.
And the dudes at Asylum are just amazing.
Yeah.
Asylum Brewing, those guys are the nicest guys and
good beer too.
Oh, the beer is delicious.
Yeah.
There's nothing like warming up on your practice pad at a table with glass of beer.
Yeah.
Doing double paradiddles for 5 minutes No, those guys were great. We had a great show. They never told us to turn it down, so that was always good.
That's cool.
We had a blast. I mean, Chris is just great.
Yeah. I grew up with Chris. Me and Chris go way back. And then it's cool that he's also a drummer, so it helps that he's cool with loud drums in his bar or in his tasting room.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Yeah, I showed up and it looked like a cool setup. It looked like there were some people there. You guys were rocking out. I think when I walked in, you guys were playing Smoke on the Water. Maybe. Maybe it was something else.
Yeah, it could have been something else. We haven't added that one to our set list
yet.
yet.
Maybe it's something else then. I don't know. Maybe they all sound like Smoke on the Water to me, like when I'm drinking beers or something.
Yeah.
So you're like a gear collector, right? Kind of.
A little bit, yeah.
And you have a really strong relationship with Drum Flip.
Very.
I think you keep them in business like by yourself. Every time I see you, you're like, or like online, I see you and Ed like shaking hands, like James just bought this snare.
Yeah,
James just bought this cymbal.
I got problems.
It's a good problem to have, though, man. So like, tell us about your collection. Like, what is it that you do? Do you collect snare drums? Do you collect just drums in general?
Just drum. Well, snares and cymbals are usually the two places where I go. Like my kit, I'm happy with my drum set, so I really have no desire to replace that.
You play a Sonar.
So I play a late 80s Sonar Light. So the Scandinavian birch with the cool veneer on the inside and the black lacquer. Yeah. Thing is amazing. So much tone. Love it.
Yeah.
Cool story about that kit. But yeah, I have no desire to replace that. So it's always a snare. You know, the snare is the easy thing. You can take 3 or 4 to a gig and change your sound per set.
That's cool.
And that's kind of how that started. I would start bringing the backup snare. Mm-hmm. So that way, you know, I've never had it happen to me yet, but, you know, I'm sure someday it's going to. Yeah. But where the snare head breaks, you have something you don't have to worry about.
Right.
You know, anything. And then it became bringing the backup to the backup snare.
No.
And then it was the backup to the backup to the backup snare plus the side snare. So yeah, I mean, started bringing way too much gear to gigs, and then I started rotating. We usually do 3 to 4 sets. We play like 3 or 4 hour gigs, and a lot of the clubs, you know, demand like a 10-minute break every like 45, 50 minutes.
Right.
So in between that, I will switch out the snare depending on what our set list is, because cool. We have some that's like kind of classic rock bass, so I'll put something that's a little fatter. We do some old hip hop stuff.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, then I'll bring in the little tighter snare.
Yeah.
You know, and then sometimes it's just like, I haven't played this one in a while, and I just want to get this thing back in the groove because I know I love it. So yeah.
That's cool. I'm a backup snare guy on certain gigs. Like if I have like a important gig somewhere, like if I'm just doing a casual or something, I'm like, forget it. I'm rolling light.
Yeah.
But like if I'm like doing like a serious gig, like if this goes wrong, like I'm screwed. Like I need to. So I normally have a backup snare for that. But then I'm going through that right now too. Like I like collecting snares, but I don't have a huge collection. But my dream is to have them like on display in my house somewhere.
That would be cool.
Yeah. And so I have some cool snares, some snares that I just never use, but I still am like, I can't get rid of that one.
Yeah.
Dude, you should have brought that weird volcano one.
I know. Well, it's kind of hard on the Vespa, but yeah, I should have. I have this cool like Battlefield snare that I got. It's like a custom snare, and the bottom is 40 ply, 14.
Holy smokes.
And then the top is like 10 ply, 13. What? And it's like, it looks like a cake.
So it's it's
like
trapezoidal.
Yeah, so it's not like smooth though. It's like a normal snare on the bottom, and then it like they like shaved the plies inward. So now it's like 13 on the top.
Oh,
it's
wow.
like really cool, and it's like a cool color. It's like a weird reddish orangish like neon red color. Black hardware, and it's like vented all the way around. It's a really like unique
dude, I need
snare.
to see this thing.
Yeah, that one's really cool. I want to I need to play that one again. I just don't like 13-inch snares for like side stick stuff.
Yeah.
But anyways, I brought that one out last week, and Phil was just like, "What the heck is this?" You know,
it's crazy looking.
It's really crazy looking. And then like I have some other ones that are just cool. Like I just got a new Trash Talk snare from Masters of Maple. And it's modeled after like Acrolite or something like that. So I've been using that one a lot. It's good. But yeah, I love that. I wish I could collect more cymbals.
Yeah, it's definitely. I have seasons where I go through some stuff, but yeah, I have a full Zildjian setup, a full Sabian setup.
It's awesome.
And working on a full Legato setup. So I only need 3 or 4 pieces of those guys. So,
I like those Legato cymbals, man.
They're really nice.
Yeah,
they are really nice. They
are nice.
Yeah, and Carlos, the guy that runs it, he's just an easy talk. I mean, he's such a nice guy.
That's cool.
I wanted something specific, and he's like, "Yeah, let's work together." And so I totally, chatted him up, and we came on, because I wanted like a little 10-inch trash hi-hat thing.
Oh, nice.
So inverted chine on the bottom and a effects symbol on the top, and yeah, the thing sounds amazing.
That's bonkers.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to be working with him again for hi-hats because I want to pair. I'm a big believer in 13-inch hi-hats.
Okay, cool.
And really love like the KZ super light on top, heavy on the bottom.
Yeah.
So we're going to work together on that once I get to that point.
I love your setup, man. Your setup is like, it's like when I was really getting into drums, like I played drums since I was a kid, but like since I was a really young kid, but when I started getting into it and watching drummers and like getting into like Dave Weckl or Dennis Chambers and all that, it was like in the 90s. And it was like, it's like similar to like your sound, your drums are like, you have like the small, like a smaller, like, do you have a 10 or an 8 that you normally play with? 8, 10, 12,
8,
16?
10, 12, 14, 20-inch kick, yeah.
That's great, man. That's a great setup. And
because
then,
you can bring a lot, but it doesn't take up a lot of room.
Yeah. And then you have the little hi-hats and like the brighter cymbals, and it's like the modern sound right now is like low snares and like deep toms and trashy, super dark cymbals.
Yeah.
And so whenever I think of drums, I'm like, but that's the sound I'm always looking for. Your sound, like the Dave Weckl kind of higher, smaller kick drum, higher pitch toms, clean sounding. I love that.
No,
sound.
I am definitely a product of the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Steve Smith.
Oh man!
During the Journey days is what got me in, and then when he started playing with like Vital Information.
Oh man, I love that stuff.
That's my jam.
Yeah.
That's what I'm striving for.
That's so great.
Still don't think I'm there yet, but yeah, I'm totally striving for it. And hold on, Phil's dog is on me.
Phil's dog,
love. But and that's actually the story. Quick, I'll try and make this quick on the kit. San Diego had a drum store, Music Mart. Down in Marina back a long time ago. And they would pull in some great clinics. I mean, Terry Bozzio was there. Wow. And they would pull in. It was like this big place because they used to rival Guitar Center. And they had Steve Smith do a clinic.
Oh, wow.
And so I came down with my giant, video recorder, the ones that you stuck on your shoulder, and we videotaped the whole thing. And they, brought down this sonar kit for him to play, and they were going to auction it off. But no one goes to a clinic thinking they're going to drop $7,000-$8,000 on a drum set, minimum. And so no one bought it. Came back a year later, they still had his kit.
No way.
So I go to the guy. I'm like, oh, I see you guys still have Steve's kit, and the dude's just like, yeah. He's like, it's taking up room on our floor. We don't deal sonar anymore. We just want it gone. He's like, if someone gave us a halfway decent offer on it, we'd probably take it. And I'm like, really? So
they're like, they don't know who they're talking to.
I know. So went back. I was, God, how old was I? 18, 19, somewhere in there.
Oh, this is the beginning of your drum journey.
Oh, yeah. I was probably 4 or 5 years in at this point. And we talked to my mom, and we came back and wheeled and dealed with him for, God, an hour and a half. And got the whole thing. So it's the whole kit is the 20-inch kick, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16.
Wow.
13-inch side tom.
Wow.
All the hardware, new heads. I got an X hat out of the deal, and it was all for like $2,500.
Oh my God, dude. Wow. It was my dream kit. Literally, got my dream kit.
That's awesome.
So if we ever play a gig that is longer than 3 hours and there's no band before us or after us, and load in and load out is not rush, I will take the whole thing.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because I mean, you got it. You only live once. Why not?
Well, like, dude, that's what's so great about like what we do is like, we all have a sound in our head, and immediately, like, you could tap a drum and be like, oh my God, that's my drum set.
Yeah.
And like, we've all experienced that. And I think we're all three of us are in a place where we're like, we have the drums that we want, and I don't need another drum set. I don't need to like, I maybe have some add-ons or maybe like a different kit that's, maybe in the same vein, but like, I'm good with my setup. And
I'm totally good with my setup.
Yeah. And like, when you find that, people don't understand, like, it's like finding a wife. You're like, no, I'm good. I don't need to look at anybody else, dude.
I have introduced my drum kit as either my second home or my first wife.
Yeah, exactly. So when you have it, and then the thing is too that people don't understand is when you have a perfect setup for like a gigging drummer, that means it has to be versatile. So all those different sizes that you have, you can play in any setting, and it's going to be like perfect. It's gonna fit.
I've played reggae gigs. I've played straight up bebop jazz gigs.
Yeah.
And, I for the most part, take that 8, 10, 12, 14 kick setup for most of it. And it just works for everything.
Exactly. So with my setup, I use, I don't think I've ever played a gig with my full kit. I don't know why. I only have 4 toms, but I either play a 10 and a 14, and that's it. Or if it's like a rock gig, then I use a 12 and a 16. And then if it's like a pop gig, I'll use 10, 12, 14. And then if it's like a rock gig, like whatever, 10, 12, 16. It's just like versatile. Like there's just options,
Yeah. Oh, and I'm all about options and colors, and that's kind of the way I see it. Like, part of why I bring all 3 rack toms is because 2 of the toms are like on stands that are cymbal stands, so I got to bring that stand anyway.
Right.
So I'll just bring on the tom. But yeah, you just get so much more. You get more colors, Yeah. And I'm a big, as you probably saw, believer in splash cymbals.
Oh yeah.
So it's to just add, it's just sprinkled colors, more vocabulary. So that's why I like to do it.
Man, that's so cool. I think that's great. And then like so much stuff you've got in that drum flip. It's so funny, man.
God.
It's like, he's just like, dude, you're just keeping him afloat, dude. Like
it's no good.
You have to be. I don't think there's anybody that spent more money than you in that place.
Yeah,
maybe?
I'm sure there's somebody.
Yeah,
probably.
Because I do some work, I do some trades, and I try to do some financial work, But I've spent a lot of time in there.
Man, that's so cool. That's so cool.
You live too close to that place.
I'm like 5 minutes away.
Yeah,
which is the problem.
Trouble.
It's the problem.
Yeah. No. I'm not trying to do it. No. I'm really just trying to transition the show into our next segment.
It's the wrap-up song.
I got the wrap-up music for each segment, and these guys are thinking that I'm cutting them short.
I still love you, Corey.
All right, let's transition into our next segment. That's all I'm trying to say. I ain't trying to hear that right now. This week, we've all been here. I'm so mad at this. Like, I've been holding this soapbox in this whole week. This happened on Tuesday. I was so mad at my gig on Tuesday that like I was just like, no, just bury it and get through this because I'm about to punch somebody. This happened to you last week, Funky Phil.
Yeah.
I showed up at my usual Tuesday gig. Every time I show up, I play the same gig every week. Okay, I know exactly what to bring. I bring 2 cymbals and my hi-hats, and then I bring my SPD-1. That's it. I brought my own throne there so that I don't have to deal with their janky throne. I leave it there. Any other drummer who wants to use it, feel free. Help yourself. I'm here for you, Drum Brigade, Brotherhood of Drums.
Mm-hmm.
Some idiot.
Whoa.
Idiot!
Dude.
That will never be a part of the Brotherhood of Drums, ever. If I ever find this dude, hand around the neck, Phil.
Dang.
I'm so mad at this guy.
That's violent.
Your hat's on fire.
Yeah. This fool decided to take it upon himself and steal the hi-hat clutch.
Maybe he just needed a new one, though.
Funky Phil, I'm beginning to think that you're the hi-hat clutch thief.
Dang it.
He just basically took it. No, he didn't basically took it. He did take it and left all the other drummers that use that drum set that have a residency gig, left us all high and dry, dude. You couldn't spend $10 little or less. You couldn't go to Drum Flip and spend $1 probably. Mm-hmm. And just get your own stupid thing. You have to take that one and leave us high and dry.
That's wrong.
It's cold.
It's not right.
It's cold-blooded.
Man.
Yeah, that's messed up.
So the thing that got me mad is that we show up and we know what to bring every week, and it's always the same. There's a house kit there. Everybody's respectful, and then we just use it and we leave. I just don't understand why you're like, you obviously you don't play that. It had to be a sub or something. It had to be like an outsider that came in, because it couldn't be the guy that plays there every week and is like, you know what? I've had enough. I'm going to take this thing. But he did.
Dang.
He did.
I mean, you would know you have to take it. I mean, you just can't leave it on your hi-hat and stick it in the bag.
Yeah. You have
to take it off and put it in your pocket or put it somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did it. So I showed up and another drummer left a note, or maybe it was that drummer, and he's just like, hey,
his tracks.
I'm really sorry. I showed up and there was no hi-hat stand. I had to use my own. Hope this helps. I'm like, oh yeah, totally helps, dude. Like leaving a note like, oh crap, now I just like it's just what do I do?
He just wanted to make sure that no one thought it was him.
Yeah, like we all know him. Whatever, bro. Thank you for leaving the note. I mean, it was at least, I mean, in all honesty, what can you do? You can't do anything. So at least, hey, he left a note like, hey, you know, I was in the same boat with you guys. I'm so mad at whoever this drummer is.
Did you leave a note for that drummer that took it?
Dude, I almost did.
You should have left a note.
I almost was like, hey, scumbag.
Scumbag.
You left us high and dry.
That's
So do you have sloshy hi-hats all night long?
So I didn't. So I didn't use my hi-hats the whole first set. I just played the ride. I tried to MacGyver it like you did, Phil, and I just couldn't find anything to pick up the hi-hat. So I taped like a bolt. Like there was actually like the bottom of the hi-hat that you unscrew, or the clutch that you unscrew, that was left there.
What?
Or that maybe that was an extra one. So I put that one on the bottom, taped it, put my top hi-hat on top of that. So at least it would raise up. But the weird thing about hi-hats is like you have to push it down. I didn't realize how much you have to push it down to like make it sound right. So I thought, oh, at least I can open it. It didn't work like that. It did not work like that. So then I was trying to find something to put on top of it to keep it in place so I could press it down. And then the tape was getting stuck in the like.
Oh, you just made it worse.
So it was sticking like it was just a mess. It was
so the bottom of the clutch was still there?
The bottom was.
I bet this dude just took his stuff off and
threw it on the ground.
Left it on the floor.
Dude,
and then
I
someone
looked
threw
everywhere.
It away.
I looked everywhere. I couldn't find it anywhere.
I could see someone like cleaning up after a day and being like, "What's this? I don't know. Throw it in the trash."
Yeah.
Well, long story short, our buddy, friend of the show, Mark, fellow Vessel drum player. The guy who let us use his studio.
Yeah.
He's a student, takes some drum lessons. We had a drum lesson earlier that day. Texted him, hey man, do you live close to downtown? Could you possibly bring by a hi-hat clutch? He's like, I'll be right there.
What?
Oh, that's amazing.
He deserves an award.
That dude,
that's awesome.
First of all, deserves this.
Yeah.
Second of all, saved my life, saved my gig. No questions asked, just came, brought me a hi-hat clutch, and he's just like, dude, I hate when that happens. Here you go. That's what the Drum Brigade is about.
Brotherhood.
Yes. That's what the Drum Brigade is about. Anyways, hi-hat thief, jump off a bridge, dude.
Whoa.
You don't deserve to be a drummer. You don't. Just beat it. Get out of our life.
What if it was his clutch and he just lost the gig and was like, well, I'm taking my clutch back then?
I have a feeling that one of these drummers that's like, plays this gig regularly is gonna be having a soapbox about me taking my personal throne. Whoever the drummer is that took the throne, like, but it's my throne, you know, like. So
you didn't even leave a note?
No, I posted it on social media.
See, he's probably like, go jump off a bridge. Whoever took the throne and made me play in a
the throne is there.
Chair.
The
you should just bring your own throne anyway.
I know. I always bring my own throne, but I always want to. So sometimes I'll take the train to that gig, so I want to bring as light as possible. So I'm like, I have an extra throne. I'm just gonna leave it here as long as I play this gig, and know that it's there. If somebody steals that throne, dude, you want to talk about a soapbox?
Hey, do you need a sub for that gig? Because I need a new throne, dude.
Dude, that's it. I'm wrapping you up, Phil. I'm just kidding. All right. So, anyways, that's been my soapbox. I ain't trying to hear that right now.
Drum Brigade.
Oh yeah, special guest on the line. Guy I know very well. You guys don't know him, but I know him very well. Seen the world with this fool. He plays in a lot of bands. He's played in a lot of bands. Played in a band called Beat Union. Played in a band called Suedehead. Plays in a band called Sharp Shock. He's comes from Birmingham, England. Lives in Orange County now. He's a handsome guy. It's a handsome fellow, this guy. On the line with us, Davey Warsop. What's up, Davey?
Yeah. Oi, oi. Yeah, Paul. What up, Paul?
Yeah. Davey, we got Funky Phil is on the line. You'll hear his voice. And we got James Coleman. And these guys are both drummers, so you'll hear their voice from time to time, but you'll probably hear mostly me.
Okay. Well, Phil, I think I've seen you online. You're a legend.
Oh, thanks.
You're what I like to call a proper legend.
A proper legend, dude. We have no idea what that means, dude.
It's just it's just an English way of saying legend, I suppose.
That's cool. When Sahir came on, he was like, Phil, how's prison, man? I'm like, what does that even mean, dude? Phil's not in prison. But then I realized that he probably was in prison, dude.
Nope.
No? All right. Davey, what's going on, man? How's everything going, dude?
Everything is good. Life is good. I'm lucky to be here. Feeling very grateful for every single day. I'm living the dream. You said Orange County, but I actually live in Long Beach.
Oh
now,
yeah,
I forgot LA County. So, don't forget that fool. For anyone listening, me and Corey just call each other fools. So it's there isn't any weird tension between us on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Life is good. I'm grateful for another day to be here. I always try and have that outlook of that super positive attitude and just be grateful to be working in and around music,
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
So,
that's kind of what it's about, like we get to do what we do, and I think we're like fortunate to do that. But we have to sometimes like reflect and be like, man, I'm grateful for what I do, like it's dope. So
exactly.
Yeah, so me and Davey have worked a lot together in a lot of different bands. We've toured a lot. We've recorded a lot. I've done several albums with you. Like a great songwriter, incredible songwriter, singer, songwriter, an incredible engineer, incredible producer. It's really cool that the stuff that I've worked on with you, with Suedehead and with Sharp Shock, that you sing and you wrote the songs, you play the songs, sing the songs, but then you're in the studio and you're engineering the session, you're recording it, you're producing it. That's like really unique and different, right? It's like you're covering all the bases. You could actually play the drums if you wanted to. They're all written like, you know what I mean? Like I've heard you play, and like that's really unique. But then on top of that, you've produced a lot of records. Whether you've actually engineered and produced the record, or you've helped out on a lot of records, you've hit the record button on a lot of records, and that's also super dope and super unique. You've worked with a lot of, being that this is a drum podcast, you've worked with a lot of different drummers, so that's really dope, man. Tell us a little bit about like your story, and then we'll get into like your producing and stuff like that. So you come from Birmingham, England, and now your home residence is in Long Beach, as you mentioned. So tell us about how that came about.
Well, first of all, thank you, mate, for such kind words.
Sure.
But it all started for me. I mean, I got into music. I first heard punk from Californian skate videos, really, like the Santa Cruz skate video, Streets on Fire, just like pretty much just opened the door into punk. I was about 7 years old, believe it or not, hearing like Black Flag, Descendents, wow, Minutemen, and all these SST artists for the first time, not really knowing, not understanding what punk was, not having ever heard any kind of noise that was outside the kind of top 40 pop music that, gets rammed down your throat when you're 7 years old, So kind of skateboarding and watching those American skate videos was the gateway into punk for me. And so I was singing along to like Descendents songs and Black Flag songs, early Sonic Youth and all this stuff from such an early age. The melodies like connected with me straight away. But this is obviously pre-internet, and I'm too young to really know what's what and who these bands are, and it wasn't till I was about 11, 12, 13, a little bit later, that I started getting into like UK punk, listening to The Clash, The Jam, The Sex Pistols and stuff like that, and kind of becoming old enough to, to go out and find the independent record shop and suddenly kind of go back to the old skate videos and check oh, that song's by a band called Descendents. I better go and try and discover the record, you know. So that was kind of the gateway into music, I think. And obviously my dad and my parents playing records when I was younger. And believe it or not, the independent Irish film, The Commitments, was a massive influence on my life. Like, I saw that film in about, I think it came out in 1990. A mate of mine rented it from the video shop and brought his video recorder around, and we connected the two and copied it. And I watched it every single day after school, just obsessed over it. And that was kind of my way into like soul music. Wow. So to cut a long story short, you know, I get into playing music, and that was just the only thing that ever made sense to me. You know, I wasn't academic. I wasn't the sharpest kid at school. It just school and academia and that kind of thing just didn't really click for me. I always kind of struggled. I always had to work really, really hard just to be like average or like just below average, you know, except in music. Like, music kind of spoke to me and came natural. And I don't know, you know, when I was in my late teens, I was just working jobs and come from a relatively kind of blue collar town, and there's no real music industry in and around Birmingham in the West Midlands of England. So I ended up working in supermarkets. I worked in warehouses. I was a van driver. You know, the worst couple of jobs I had was in factories. I had a pretty cool gig for a bit working in a record shop. I did enjoy that. But from working in factories and warehouses, which is kind of the world that I come from, like my dad was a factory worker operating machines that made European car parts. My mum was a cleaner. I came from a pretty kind of working class background, and there was no one in my life going, you can do this, you know. It was basically like learn a trade or go work in a factory, a car factory around Birmingham. Like, that's kind of what was presented to me, and I hated that. Huh. And
it's weird though that you say that. Not to cut you off, but like, there's some cool music that came out of Birmingham. You know, being such a blue collar town, like my favorite band, the English Beat, is from Birmingham, right?
Yeah.
And then isn't Led Zeppelin from Birmingham too?
Well, this is the crazy thing, and living, you know, a million miles away now, that just freaks me out all the time is that Birmingham had so much great music. You're right.
Yeah.
The Beat, Dexys Midnight Runners, the Specials were just down the road in Coventry. That's like the next city along.
Wow.
So a lot of the two-tone thing kind of came from around that. And then, yeah, Birmingham was a home of heavy metal. There was Zeppelin, Sabbath, Judas Priest.
Crazy.
You know, I mean, Steel Pulse came from the West Midlands.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It's just weird, but no one's celebrating it. And I feel like in Southern California, like, punk rock is alive and well. And, you know, just a few months ago, my band Sharp Shock played the Back to the Beach festival, and like Social Distortion are headlining, and it got me thinking about it. Like, I'm like, man, these are like Orange County legends that started years ago, and they're like, I mean, not to bring money into it, but they're like they've made a great living and become successful, like almost businessmen from this music and this band. And there's this festival here on the beach in Huntington that is celebrating the legacy of this town and this area. And Ozzy Osbourne lives in LA. He's not out playing some huge show in Birmingham. Like, yeah, no one's really celebrating these bands in Birmingham. It's like they all kind of left. They found their success and they left. And I guess I'm guilty of the same thing. I was just like, found a ticket out, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not going back there. I'll stay in the sun. Thanks very much.
Man, that's crazy though. That maybe you need to pioneer setting up the Birmingham England music festival. With like,
yeah, it needs a music school or something, you know. Like, I mean, there's a college. Well, I went back on the trade school that taught me sound engineering. I left school when I was 15, and in England you can stay on at school till you're 18 before it's time to go to college or university, or you can leave a little earlier and do what's called a BTEC. I mean, this is back in the 90s. and which is more of a trade school. And I went to a trade school and learned sound engineering. And that school, since I went back, and I'm friends with some of the lecturers there now, and they invited me in to do a couple of talks and talk to the students about my career and experiences, across the pond here in Southern California. And that course is actually kind of the figurehead of that course is Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin.
Wow.
So I don't want to say that, there isn't, anything going on, but still, in my opinion, that school isn't as well funded as it should be, or isn't as big as it should be in the Midlands area. It still seems like California would do it bigger and better if Cali was to do it.
Well, and it would make a point to be like, this is where this music is from, like Social Distortion really puts on the map that they're from Orange County. You know what I mean? And they make a big deal out of that. There's some pride there, but I know specials and stuff like that make it a thing that they're from Coventry, but I feel like there could be more done. That's interesting, an interesting point. So in 2008, which was 11 years ago now, I met you on Warped Tour. Our bands were on Warped Tour together. You were playing with Beat Union at that time, and I was playing with Agrolites.
Yep.
And we hit it off, hung out with you guys. I think we did the warm-up show with you guys too. Dude, Beat Union was such a great band. That was such a great band, dude. All the bands you're involved in are great though, man. Sharp Shock is dope. Suedehead is super dope. And
thank you.
Yeah. But so that's kind of you had done tours and stuff in America already before Warped Tour, right? But
yeah,
it seemed like after Warped Tour you just kind of was I'm not going home, I'm going to stay here. Right? Or am I wrong on that?
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, I guess to just finish off real quick the story of it was at around 20 years of age. I read Get in the Van by Henry Rollins, right? The story of Black Flag, and that was really the kind of gateway of looking at my life and going, I come from this minimum wage working class world, and I really connected with what Rollins said in that book and the work ethic of Black Flag. And that's something my dad always taught me. My dad was a super workaholic, working 18-hour days every day of the week, all the time. That was kind of what I was taught. And it was that book really that just kind of made me go, you know what, I'm smoking weed, I'm going down to the pub, drinking, I'm doing a lot of time wasting, considering who I am and where I come from, which, I don't come really from a place of that much disadvantage in my life. I always had food on the table. I had clothes on my back, and I got a guitar bought for me when I really wanted one for my birthday. So I view myself as relatively privileged, but not overprivileged either. And it was kind of if you don't work your ass off at this and work harder than anyone else that's trying for the same thing, it's never going to happen to you.
Right.
And so I just kind of quit drinking, quit smoking weed. Well, I can't say I quit drinking completely, but I just started working much harder. And this band Beat Union had the goal of just trying to break out of our town, because we were all from that same kind of world where we didn't come from money, or we didn't have any huge opportunities or advantages in life that was going to get us a better job or really get us out of there. So we just played as many gigs as we could, wrote as much as we could, started rehearsing 5 nights a week.
Wow. Just
going, this is what we love, let's go for it. And long story short, I really stopped drinking a little later in my 20s, and that really kind of set the work ethic up. But before that, with Beat Union, that was basically where we got our demo into the hands of John Feldman from the band Goldfinger, and he loved it, and he was one of the few forces in California that were kind of helped bring us out here and sign a record deal. And that was the gateway, and it was a subsidiary of Warner Brothers. And a couple of visas later, on tour, meeting you, and we eventually break up. And I didn't want to go back when I couldn't see myself. It seemed like a step backwards after touring around the world and having a visa, which is technically gold dust, paid for by a record label.
Yeah,
it just felt like some kind of sign of like I'm not meant to go back to that. And I actually did. When the band broke up, I went back to my old job. At the time, in between tours, I was delivering car parts and working in a warehouse, putting away parts for cars at a place called Bromsgrove Motor Factors. And it was a great job. I loved everyone there. It's one of my favourite jobs, really, in terms of camaraderie and the people that I've worked with. But I went back there for a few months and was just like, I've got this visa in my passport and I had to take the chance, you know.
Man, that's so crazy. That's probably something, I mean, I don't know if I could ever do that, but maybe now I could. But when I was younger, I would be like, what? Move to another place? That's crazy.
Well, I'm kind of the other way around. I actually think of it now that my life is more stable here, and I have a life that I love, and I'm really lucky to be involved in doing what I'm doing, and I'm making music every day. Mm-hmm. And I always think, man, could I throw it all in and you know, do the gamble, you know, take a chance for a different way of life. But it came down to when I was younger, I had nothing to lose. I toured around the world. My band was breaking up. I'd met people like yourself. I had all these connections in California. It just felt like California was kind of calling me when you've got that gut instinct and that feeling of just like, I went back to Birmingham and I just didn't have much of a life going on. There wasn't much there for me. And you just have this feeling of like, I'm going to go back out to California with a guitar and a suitcase. And the worst thing that can happen is that, you know, I come back broke in like 6 months or something. It was just, it just felt right, and I had to take the chance, and I came back out here, and it's nearly 10 years later now, and I'm still here.
That's crazy, man. So you got, after that, the Warped Tour and the band kind of broke up, you know, or maybe like just fizzled out. You got a gig at Hurley, right? And you were running their studio, and you were doing a bit of modeling or something like that for them. And then that led to all of these like amazing albums that you've worked on, and these crazy amazing artists, big name artists, small name artists, new bands, like, right? So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, it just, it's just one of those things that kind of fell into place. I had made a lot of connections at Hurley from when I was in Beat Union, and I was asked when I was in Beat Union to do some modeling for that brand, and I was friends with a lot of people there, and I really liked the people there. And again, it was like my whole life has been always about trying to say yes to opportunities. Mm-hmm. And it's something like modeling in a city like Birmingham that doesn't exist. It might exist down in London, but not where I'm from. Yeah. So that just actually felt a little bit hilarious. But I'm always of the viewpoint of just like, again, that kind of Henry Rollins work ethic of like, I'm trying everything I can to stay away from that minimum wage working world that I come from. If you're offering me employment, if you're paying, I'm working, I'm there, man. And, and it was kind of like, okay, you want me to model? Cool. Show me what to wear and I'll get in front of the camera. And it's just like, that happened for a little bit. And I actually did some modeling for Nike as well. And, wow. But Hurley had this big involvement with music and had this recording studio. And at the time, my good friend Greg Teal was working there, and he needed a little bit of help with sessions and people engineering in the studio. And I knew the basics of engineering, and I obviously had been in the studio a lot, so I kind of just offered to help out. I was around a lot because of the modeling connection, but then just started to help out for free in the studio and help Greg Teal. And I just showed up as much as I could. And it was like after we did like one session, which might have been a live session for their internet channel, for their YouTube channel, I'd then show up the next day and clean up and get the studio straight. And I just kind of kept showing up and I guess, I don't know if that's just like work ethic or just desperation of not wanting to go back to England, but just kept showing up and trying to be a part of this world that I so badly kind of connected with and wanted to be a part of. And it eventually just kind of led into a day job. They kept asking me to do more stuff, and then they took over the sponsorship of my visa, and I started getting paid and just kind of had a day job in the studio and became the in-house engineer, and it just kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Like things do in life, you don't always know how, but they just kind of line up.
Man, that's awesome. So transitioning into more of a technical aspect of what you do now, and what you've done over the past, obviously, like we know that you play in bands, and you front a lot of bands, a few bands. Your main band right now is Sharp Shock, which we've worked for a while. We've worked together on. We've recorded together on that stuff, and then now you guys are doing some touring and all that stuff. But more along the lines of your being a producer, engineer, songwriter, all that kind of stuff. Technically speaking, for our drum podcast now. One of the things that I always love working with, you're one of my favorite people to work with in the studio. And it's for specific reasons that you know what you want, especially, specifically what you want from every musician. But for me, I'm not used to being in the studio and the producer or the engineer or the songwriter, especially the songwriter, to know specifically what you want out of me, the drummer. And we've recorded albums. We've spent days in the studio together. But I've always come in kind of with the mentality of like, all right, this should be like maybe not easy, but I mean, I've done a lot of sessions. Like I get hired on a lot of sessions, and I normally don't have too many problems, like just, kind of delivering and just doing my job. But for you, it's like, no, a little bit less like that and more like this, or you'll like sing. No, play that. Like I'm thinking even specifically down to like fills, like you have a lot of references, like more like this, like more like Topper from the Clash, or more like, I don't know, like, and then even specifically like as far as drum fills, I'm thinking more of like this kind of drum fill, and you'll either like beatbox it, sing it. There's even times where you'll just play it on the drums. From a producer, dealing with a producer, that is like so useful for guys like us, for drummers. So like, what's up with that? Like, how do you know all that stuff? How do you do that as a producer? I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's what makes a good producer. That's what makes a strong songwriter. Not somebody. I've literally had people. Like, I've had songwriters go, I don't know, I was just thinking like of a field when I wrote this song. And so maybe just think of a field when you're playing this beat, more like field like. I'm like, what does that even mean, dude?
That sounds way too familiar.
Yeah. And that's literally like the stuff that we deal with all the time. I've never had to deal with that from you, though. So what is like your take? Like, what is it that you're always looking for with drummers? I mean, you've worked with drummers. Like, you've worked with, now my mind is blank with
the great Corey Kingston.
No. You've worked with what's his name from the Vandals?
Josh
Freese. Woo. Like you've worked with Hidalgo from Social D, and like you've worked with some major dudes, man. Like, so how do you go in? I know I'm rambling, but how do you go in and get what you're looking for out of these drummers specifically as a producer?
I mean, it's again, thanks for all the kind words, Corey. But it's so hard to put my finger on it, because it's just what comes natural to me. I'm not thinking up some big plan. It's nice to know that maybe I'm a little more focused than other songwriters, or can give a better direction. But again, it's just that thing of like, I don't know, some people, everyone's born with their own talent, right? And it's like, you can't really explain that. Like, if I'm a better producer or a better communicator with these things than you've had with others, then I don't know. It's nothing that I'm trying to do. It's just the way I work, and we'll always try and maybe we're just on the same page, that when I reference, a tougher head and kind of feel, or like fours on the hats or something like that, and I go that kind of tougher style, that maybe we're just on the same page. But yeah, it's just me and how I work, really, and I just think I have a clear idea of what I want, and and it probably is this kind of secret drummer in me. You know, I was a drummer when I was a kid, and I played in punk bands on the drums in my teens. I just kind of fell out of it. So I'm totally that kind of finger tapper. You know, and because I'm a songwriter as well, I know that I'm always thinking about the vocal melody comes first for me. That's the first thing that I attach with when I listen to music. I'm listening to the singer. So I'm often listening to my own accents with my songs. I'm listening to where I'm on the downbeat or where I'm on the up, and trying to line the kick and the snares and those pushes with that. And I guess I do that with every band that I work with, is trying to make the kick and snare pattern work with the vocalist, you know. Yeah. But yeah, it's I just know what I want. That's from a drummer.
No, that's awesome. You know? Dude, I'm telling you, like, you guys too, like, it's like we've had some moments where I've gone in the studio and kind of my approach was just being me, putting the way I play. And like, you can listen to some of these albums, like the Sharp Shock albums, specifically the Sharp Shock albums. I feel like that doesn't even sound like me, man. Like, if I don't even think that really, you brought out like a version of me that I grew up listening to punk and stuff too. But so I know what it's supposed to sound like, but going into the studio, it was like, it wasn't really like, I felt like I left going, that was totally me on the album. It felt like I was playing the music like it was supposed to be, which is like really rewarding for me to feel like it's versatile, you know? But that was because of you going, nah, man, you could do another one better than that. No, do the fill more like this. Don't do like it was more of like simplifying what was in my head or what was in your head, but bringing it out of me. And and I've seen you do that with other drummers too, whether you take it, you know, every measure and piece it together, or you play the whole tune, but then bring out the best. And then also in sounds, like it's gotten down to like even tuning of the drums, you know, the sound of the room. It's more like, it's more calculated on your end than my end, you know, or it's like, I feel like this should be the sound, and then we work together on that, and then it ends up coming out. The recording ends up just coming out so good. So that's really dope, man. Yeah,
awesome, man. Thank you.
And you've done that with a lot of other like bands and artists, and like really noteworthy like sessions, like really big name sessions. Like it's really like, it's a big accomplishment.
Thank you, man. I mean, there's been a few, and it kind of, you know, it's always blown my mind a little bit. I mean, getting to be an engineer on a session with Josh Freese was, you know, just totally, that guy's just next level, man. He's just like he'll listen to the song one time through, then he'll listen to it again and make a couple of little notes, and then he'll go out and just play the entire song.
Yeah.
And, you know, just understands that, like, you know, isn't intimidated by a song, and just knowing that most kind of Western popular music is going to have a kind of verse, pre-chorus, chorus structure, and just knowing that, like, I mean, I hate to break things down and be like like everything's so formulaic, but it's kind of just a fact that the chances are that your verse, you know, your first verse is probably going to be on the hats, and maybe they're going to be slightly tighter. And at some point towards the back end of the verse, you know, the hats may open. There may be some kind of, you know, there may be a pickup on the snare before the first vocal comes in, and the hats may open a little bit towards the end of the verse, and there's going to be a bigger, more dramatic fill into the chorus, which then may go to a crash or a ride. And it's like, once you anticipate these things that are usually, you know, the way a lot of popular music gets put together, it's like you understand that it's just a matter of like, okay, so many bars on the hats, and then there's going to be some kind of fill. What fill do you want? Okay. And someone like Josh he's just so quick to do that, and just understands it.
There's a formula to it there, you know, and even like a lot of people ask about that, like, what's the formula? How does it work? Like, it's dope. It's so funny too. Like there was one time we were in the studio, and Davey goes, well, I mean, yeah, you're no Josh Freese, but, you know, we'll get it done. And I'm just like, dang, man, all right. Like,
that's straight.
Oh
Cole.
my God, I take that back, mate. You're in the league of your own. I don't even remember saying that.
Dude, I loved it. It's because it keeps things in perspective, you know. Like it's like I was dying laughing though. Like, dang, bro. Like we're all striving to be like Josh Freese, you know. Like, but yeah, that's another level.
There, you know, that being said right there, when you talk about how do you get these performances out of a drummer, and sometimes you have to read, like, you know, there's certain situations you can have. Some drummers or musicians can be a little bit more delicate, and it's my job to read that and be like, okay, maybe they really need this kind of moral support, and be telling them that they can do it, and that it's like, don't just relax, like you're doing great, blah, blah, blah. Like,
yeah.
Some people need that, and have to read the situation. And a drummer like you know, you played with some big cats as well, and you've toured around the world. It's like you've recorded in a million studios, and you know, you're a master of your craft. So how do I deal with someone like that, other than give you a bit of a nudge to rile you up and be like, okay, do you know what I mean? Like, you're kind of amongst the best of them, but I have to make some kind of snotty remark like that to give you a push and be like, come on, Corey Kingston Horn, show me what you got. Give me your best take.
It worked.
Come on, let's go.
It works, man. It works. That's what I'm saying. All right. So anyways, going back to what we were talking about, requirements from drummers specifically. What is it that, as a producer, like, what is it that you require, or what is it that you're looking for from drummers?
Good question, mate. I think there's several things really that I always look for. I mean, obviously being great with a click track that's just awesome. Beat pressure is actually really important, you know, if you're kicking your snare hits, or all your hits in general, if there's too much variation, I mean, I do like feel. I do like a drummer that can back off a little and know when to hit a little harder. But if it's too inconsistent, it never sounds good. And if a kick drum is like, you know, hitting really hard at some point and then just hitting too soft and tickling, it's difficult for an engineer or producer to compress that and make it sound better. So having this consistent beat pressure over the drums is actually really great.
Yes.
And I'm a big fan of when drummers hit cymbals lightly and the drums hard, which I believe is a John Bonham trick. From what I gather, stuff that I've read and heard about, is that he was always, you know, would beat the shit out of the drums themselves, but hit the cymbals lightly.
Yeah.
And it's never cool when the cymbals are just being thrashed. You know, the hi-hat is being thrashed and the snare is being tickled. It's just never cool. It never sounds good. So the reverse dynamic of that is always better.
Man, that's similar to what my drum teacher taught me too. He was always like, the loudest thing on your whole kit should be your kick drum. You need to help people to feel your kick drum. Yeah. But for me, playing ska and reggae all my life, I was always big on the hi-hats, thinking that was like the main thing. And like first lesson, he was like, we need to reverse some of this feel that you got. You know, your kick is what people feel and what makes people dance, what makes people feel the music. Snare, secondary, hi-hat is just keeping the time.
I call that the groove sandwich. Like the cymbals are the bread. The main theme, the meat, is your kick and snare.
Yeah.
You don't want too much bread on your sandwich.
That's a lot of carbs.
That's good. I don't do carbs.
That's cool, man.
But other than that, I mean, I would say having a versatile drummer, I often think that when bands are in the rehearsal room, just everyone's making noise, not everyone is working together as a band. And I often find myself as producer just kind of going, well, locking that kick and snare with the bass guitar, thinking about what the vocals are doing. And sometimes drummers might be overplaying, and it might be just like, well, let's lose that one beat on the kick. So I guess being able to be versatile, where I can be like, hey, let's try this beat. That feels a little too dramatic for this part. Let's try this. Let's try something else. And it can mess with. That, in my opinion, this is why you're a true drummer, Corey. Because if I throw something at you, you can do it. You can act under pressure, do it, and you can own it. And that, in my opinion, that's a true drummer. But sometimes you can throw stuff at people, and they're just like, "Oh my God, like this! You're telling me to play something which isn't the beat that I've just like locked in and learned 100% in my head over the past 6 months."
Yeah.
And now you're asking me, like, I don't know how to do that, you know, and they kind of fall apart. And it's, in my opinion, if you can't be thrown something and just act on it, then you're not a master of your craft yet, you know. But the other thing is that I find a lot when I'm editing drums, you know, after the session, I'm editing drums and putting them on a grid and trying to clean things up slightly, and you just notice the inconsistencies of human beings, you know, and one thing I see a lot is whenever the drummer changes from hats to ride, they're going from a verse to a chorus or something, whenever that kind of fill comes in and they change over to the ride, there's always a change in tempo and feel, like everything just loses control slightly for a second. You speed up or slow down slightly. And I'm all for like human inconsistency, like that's what's great in music, it's real, it's pure. But sometimes when you're working on drummers daily, you just kind of get so used to this, like, okay, they're speeding up again in this one section, and so if any drummers are looking for points of just how to become that like superhuman drummer, which everybody wants, I always say just control yourself, slow down around the corners of the song. Whenever that fill comes in and you change to the, you know, to go to the crash or you go to the ride or you change to the hat, whenever those hands change, just try and control it and slow it down slightly and relax. You know, that's my rule.
I think that's so great. This is like
Solid.
You've touched
That's
on
really good.
You've touched on so many things that our listeners are going to want to hear or are going to need to hear, or students or like, you know, people that maybe don't get to record in the studio or people who do. It's a completely different perspective on what we do. You know, if you talk to another drummer, it's just like, yeah, man, just make sure you play with the click, you know, and don't play something that you're going to regret later, you know, or whatever. But like coming from a producer, it may not be about that. You have to deliver on, you know, what you're getting hired for, or, you know, or if you're in a band and you're recording, you know, you want to have the best recording. So, man, that's super dope, dude. Super dope. Like such great information for our listeners. All right, we're going to transition into some funner, more lighthearted questions, and it's going to be super fun. All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Drum Brigade Podcast.
Yeah. So, okay, on the show we have the Drum Brigade Wheel of Death. No one dies, trust me. These are just random questions. Just random questions.
Okay.
Some of them have to deal with drums, but I think you're good. So we'll spin the wheel. It's a digital wheel. We'll ask you some regular lighthearted questions. We'll go around the room and ask each other the same questions. And it's going to be a hoot. All right, you ready?
I'm dying. I'm in.
Here we go. First question coming up. Oh, boy. Oh, this is a fitting one. Football or football? And you know what I mean by that being English.
Football or football?
Yeah. Which football do you think is better?
I'm going to say neither, because everyone says, "Oh, you're English. What's your team?" And you know what? I had a lot of mates into football when I was growing up, but I never connected with it, man. I was always single-minded, like just one-track mind on music for me, and it just didn't really cross over into much else. So I hate to be a disappointment, but
no, I'm the same way, man. people are like, "You're tall, you're black. Like, what's your like?
Wow.
You're into sports?" And I'm like, "Nah, man. I ride Vespas and bicycles, and I play drums." So
You're like, I'm a gluten-free skinhead fool.
Exactly. I couldn't even tell you who was in the Super Bowl before the day of the Super Bowl. I'm like, "Oh wait, it's Super Bowl today." Yeah. And like, who's in it? like I couldn't name you one guy. So football's not my thing. But
I'm the same, and I worked all day that Super Bowl Sunday, and someone told me on Friday that it was Super Bowl Sunday, and then I forgot, and I worked all day, and it got to about 5 or 6 p.m. when I was like, oh yeah, it's that Super Bowl day, and everyone's celebrating.
It's such a big deal. What about you guys? What football do you prefer? Soccer or football?
Can I say rugby?
Rugby, okay.
Whoa.
Wow.
Off the charts.
Rough. There is a roughneck, dude.
Dang.
Phil.
Yeah, I kind of don't really care about sports at all. If I had to choose, well, I feel like I prefer the company of soccer fans.
I don't know, man.
I feel like they're a little, but I don't know.
Where are you going?
Well, just when I've been to bars, when there's like, like the football
football
crowd, and they're like shouting and like really aggressive, and then I don't know. I guess they're all kind of the same. I don't know, man. But soccer's way more boring to watch, I feel like.
God.
Oh, yeah. Don't.
Let's just move on. I hate
sports.
That's why we're all into music.
Yeah, exactly.
Why we're all there.
How is it possible we got the same question? Come on, Wheel.
This Wheel's
okay,
bomb,
guys. Football
dude.
or football? Just kidding. All right, come on. Let's go. I'm not going with that one. I could go with that one. All right.
Too late. You spun again.
No, it's good. What's your Mount Rushmore of drummers?
Does that my favorite drummers?
Yeah. You know what Mount Rushmore is, right?
Vaguely, yeah.
Okay, it's like a monument that's like presidents' faces carved into rocks.
Into stone, yeah.
Into
Deep
stone,
purple and rock, I have it, yeah.
Yeah. So what's your, if you had a Mount Rushmore but only for drummers, who would it be?
I think my all-time favourites, in no particular order, but I'm a massive fan of Stuart Copeland from The Police.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
John Bonham, Led Zeppelin.
Mm-hmm. Sweet.
Dave Grohl, Nirvana.
Wow.
Bill Stevenson, Descendants, and all. Those are probably those four. I'm trying to think if there's one or two more, but those four are like the instant. I just love what they do.
Yeah, that's dope. Dude, Bill from Descendants shocked me. I was like, this guy can't play. Whatever, dude. This guy, and we we played with him. We played with Descendants, and I was like, like he is so weird to watch. And he's like a big guy, and he sits really low, and his snare is really tilted. And this dude kills on the drums. Like, he's a very skilled drummer.
Nice.
Really so great. And like his posture, like he kind of sits straight. His shoulders and his neck and his head doesn't move. It's like he's like super zen. And he's like got all this power from his wrists, and you just watch like arms and his wrists and just super precision. And he's actually one of those drummers that I can tell as a studio guy that he's a studio guy, and he's recorded all on his own drums and gone back and edited them and looked at them on the grid. And that whole thing about slowing down around the corners of the song, Bill is great at that. You can tell when he's doing that. He barely speeds up or slows down. His feel is just...
He's got really great technique, like using his back 3 fingers. Like he doesn't, like on his right hand, he can play like 16th notes one-handed. And he's not using his wrist. His arm is not even moving. It's just his fingers, like on the ride. They'll do these like super fast, like 30-second note fills or whatever around the toms, and then go to the ride like instantaneously, but his wrist is not moving. It's just his fingers. It's really cool, man. He's got great technique. All right, what about you guys? James?
I'm going to give you 5.
Okay.
5. Because it's just the trio that got me into drumming. Steve Smith, Neil Peart.
Okay.
Peart. And
that's been a debate on this show.
Exactly.
Which is it?
And Phil Collins. The early Phil Collins stuff.
Ooh,
the early Genesis. killed it. That dude was amazing.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, the pre Phil singing drumming, and really those first albums with Phil singing, his drumming was just incredible. Wind and Withering and Squonk and all. Oh, that was so good. And then recently, I'd say in the last 10 years, the two additionals are Todd Suckerman and Gavin Harrison.
Cool.
Yeah.
Strong. I like that. So different from what we normally hear on this show.
Yeah.
All right, what about you, Funky Phil? Zigaboo.
I still got Zig.
Yeah.
Zigaboo.
From the Meters.
Yeah. Tony Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Can I do 5?
All right. Why not?
Sweet. Brian Blade.
Okay.
Steve Gadd.
Yeah.
Chamber.
Yeah. Steve Gadd. Oh, yeah. Okay, Steve Gadd. That's a strong one.
Dennis Chambers.
Yeah. Mine is totally different. And you guys have, Davey's never heard of my favorite drummers, but I'm going with Dennis Chambers. Mm-hmm. Vinny Caliuta.
Oh, yeah. He's
Who?
He's in my circle of 6. So yeah.
Vinny Caliuta has played on a lot of albums. Most known would probably be Sting.
Nice one.
Yeah, he's
I love what he
incredible.
did with Sting.
I heard he punched Sting in the face.
Oh man, I think I gotta add him.
Okay,
it sounds like Sting is notorious for just rubbing drummers up the wrong way.
I think so. So Dennis Chambers, Vinny Caliuta, Chris Dave, hip hop drummer. A lot of rock guys don't know who he is, but he's my ultimate. Tony Williams. I'm gonna go with 5. If I go with one more, I have 3 more. Girgo Borlai, Virgil Donati, and Bill Stewart. I know you guys have never heard of these guys. I know.
I've heard of Virgil. Virgil's one of those
incredible.
guys that it's hard to listen to because you just know you're never going to get to that plane.
Yeah, Davey, these are like jazz drummers, and I don't have any rock drummers.
These
on
are
my
real
list.
drummer nerd drummers.
Virgil's a rock
Boring.
Boring.
If I'm choosing a rock drummer though, I'm probably gonna go with Bonham.
Yeah.
He kind of innovated. He changed drumming.
He changed the game
for what he was doing then. Those really cool triplets.
Yeah.
Those,
I feel like Mitch Mitchell doesn't get enough recognition for that too.
Yeah,
he was doing
Mitch
power
Mitchell
triplets
cool.
before Bonham.
Yeah. So
You listen to the intro of Good Times, Bad Times on the first Zeppelin record.
Oh, yeah.
That Bonham was doing back then, which was late 60s or something. He was doing that with just a single kick pedal,
Yeah. That's why I always say Bonham, because
Bonham
he was playing so hard. Yeah, man, he was killing it, dude. I like a lot of drummers though, man. I feel like Buddy Rich should be on there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot. All right, let's move on. Let's see here. Let's get a good one this time, not a drummer one. Come on. Oh, this is a perfect one for Davey.
Oh.
Davey, you're on a deserted island. You can only bring 5 albums.
Oh, Lord.
What are they going to be?
Oh, man.
It's a hard question, dude.
I am an obsessive vinyl collector. Love collecting records. And like all of us in our game and what we do, I'm obsessed with music. But choosing those top 5 and Desert Island and discs are always so difficult for me. It's impossible.
I feel like I need a pen.
But I think,
yeah.
I always just have to go. I always have to break it down to some of my biggest influences, which I don't always expect. But the older I get, I realise how records like Green Day, Dookie really changed my life. And when people talk to me about my music, I don't know if Green Day, Dookie is obviously changed so many people's lives in our kind of age group. I don't know if it's obvious or not, but just when I think about it, obviously the Nevermind or Green Day, Dookie, completely completely just changed my world and taught me a lot about songwriting. You know, and I learned to play guitar, playing along to every song on Dookie, and actually got to work with Tré in the studio and on some of Tré's own stuff, and a couple of Green Day sessions as well, which kind of blew my mind. You know, being that kid back in England, playing along to Dookie is what taught me how to write songs and to sing and play guitar. To end up working with these fools, it's you know, it's crazy, but
that's dope.
So I guess I'd have to put Dookie and Nevermind in there just because, you know, they're so big, and then maybe an Elvis Costello record, something like This Year's Model. That was a big one on my songwriting.
Yeah.
Maybe the first Police record, maybe a Clash record would make it in there as well. There's too many, man.
It's hard. It's a hard one.
There's too many. Descendents changed my life as well. Descendents and All, you know, was huge. And more of a modern day punk record. There's a record called The Human Atom Bombs by a Swedish band called Randy. And that record from top to bottom, if you like anything like The Clash, the mixing of like punk and rock and roll and all that stuff that like the Clash embodied and embraced, and all those different styles that they experimented with, then Randy, The Human Atom Bombs is an incredible record from top to bottom, and I'd recommend any punk fan to go and listen.
Man. All right, what about you guys? It's hard, man,
This is
right?
rough. This is rough. So I'm gonna go with point of view of what gets played the most, regardless if it's a drumming record that influenced me or not. So I'm going straight what gets played in the car the most. And some of them you're probably going to hate, but
It's all good.
Journey Frontiers.
Okay.
Porcupine Tree, Fear of the Black Planet.
I'm just kidding.
Dissing on Steve Wilson. This one you're really going to hate. Toto.
I like that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to decide which Toto. I've been going to their 35th anniversary in Poland album.
Okay.
With the Simon Phillips on drums.
Oh yeah.
And I just that pacing on that live.
Is that
record.
that dun 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 dun?
Yep.
Dun. Yeah, man,
Yep.
that's a good album.
So that's 3. A guy, Austin guitar player Ian Moore. His first record, he was deemed to be like the next Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Okay.
Never really quite hit, and then he got out of blues altogether and was like a total singer-songwriter.
Wow.
Stuff now. But that first blues record was amazing. And did I name 4? I think I named 4. Totally losing track. Yeah, I think I'll stop there. I think that's good. Yeah.
That's good. I will not be taking your list with me to the desert island, but good for you. I'm going to give you mine, and then Phil, you could give yours. I'm going to go with English Beat Whoppin'. I've said that one before. That one's definitely on my list of I will never get tired of that album. I will probably gladly take This Year's Model, Elvis Costello. Love that album. I need a good fusion album. Maybe I haven't heard it in a long time, but I would probably love to take, what was that old school Dave Weckl album? It sounds like straight smooth jazz. But
Master Plan is
Master
first
Plan,
one?
yeah. I would probably take that one just because it's so nostalgic. Or Big City by Dennis Chambers. That album's really rare and hard to find, and then I would need a good hip hop album, so maybe some Tribe Called Quest album or something.
Oh yeah, you gotta go Tribe.
Yeah. And I don't really know which one I would choose, but there's too many. So that's my quick list. If I'm bugging out to I have to go to this deserted island because the world is ending, I'm grabbing those albums just because that's all I can do very quickly. But if I had time to think about it, it'd probably be different.
It's a hard question, man. It's hard
Yeah.
to, when you're a fan of music, to limit it to 5, and I think about like early Oasis, like Noel Gallagher was a massive inspiration for me, and as a songwriter, and all that mid-90s stuff was huge for the age I was at the time, and that first 2 Oasis records, the older I get, they just stick with me, and the songwriting, and that was a huge influence as well, you know.
It's kind of crazy too. My list didn't have any reggae except for Wappin. That's like, it's two-tone stuff, but it's reggae. But I don't have like a hard.
And me and you played with the English Beat when we were playing together in Suedehead, and so I mean that was a big one for both of us. Had you played with them before, or was that a first for both of us?
I don't know if I did, but I was tripping out a little bit. Like, dude, this guy wrote so many songs that I've admire and listened to since I was a little kid, and he's just there like hanging out. Like nobody really thinks it's as big of a deal as I do, but for me it's massive, you know. That's pretty cool. All right, Funky Phil, what do you got?
Oh man, it's really hard. I still have inspiration information.
Dave Weckl? Yeah, bro.
No.
Yeah.
So not Dave Weckl. No, that's Shuggy Otis. Rejuvenation by the Meters. I've always loved London Calling.
Yeah.
Plus it's a long one, so you get a lot of bang for your buck on that
one.
And let's see. It's hard. I really love the Plastic Ono Band record. The John Lennon one.
Oh man, a Beatles album would be good.
Yeah. I was thinking the White Album, another really long one. But
I'd go with Revolver or Rubber Soul.
Oh yeah,
those are great.
Yeah, the later Beatles.
Later Beatles, yeah.
Tony Williams' Emergency.
Is that the super funky one? No, it's a. I don't remember which one that is.
That's like the birth. That's like the beginning of Fusion.
Yeah,
like
that.
crazy.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's an insane.
So
you might lose your mind listening to that though. You're only eating coconuts.
That'll be like that'll be like my version of alcohol.
Okay.
Listening to that, or like drugs.
Yeah.
My island drug.
Yeah.
Maybe Asia.
Oh,
that's
Steely
a damn
Dan.
good record. Yeah.
Oh, I might choose that one. That's a good album, dude. I know that's not up your alley, Davey, but that is a very good album, dude.
I've heard you play Steely Dan in the van when we've been touring together, and it's cool. But I never had a gateway into it. You're like probably the first person that kind of opened my eyes to it, really.
Nick would probably talk about that album too. Nick is a friend of ours, bass player, and another producer engineer guy. But that album, there's a cool documentary on how they made that album and how they like got the musicians to do what they do.
The birdie story is awesome.
The hit maker, like self-proclaimed hit maker. The drummer calls himself the hit maker, and like
that's got the legendary Gad track on it too.
Yeah, that documentary, Davey, you should totally see that. Like from a producer's standpoint, you'd probably love it. And the songwriting's really incredible on that album.
I figured out my number 5.
Okay, your number 5.
We Like It Here by Snarky Puppy.
Oh, nice one.
Larnell Lewis is playing on that. Is just
incredible.
Heavenly.
Yeah. All right, you guys got time for one more, and then we'll wrap this thing up?
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a short one. All right, here we go. Last one. Oh, boy. Nope, we already did that one. This wheel is really not happening today. Come on, you can do it. Oh my gosh, this is not an easy question, dude.
Damn it! What is it?
Let's talk about the industry.
Oh, great.
What would you change if you could about our industry? Now, when I ask this question in general, it's typically about drummers, the drum industry. But being that you're not from the drum industry, that's good because then I don't have to get on a soapbox about how lame our industry is. So let's talk about the music industry in general. And let's not get crazy. This is lighthearted, okay? Let's just keep it like simple. I think we could change this about the music industry.
I mean, I'm going to try and keep it lighthearted. Like you said, the first thing that comes to mind is that it's keeping it lighthearted. It's a bigger struggle than ever, and obviously, so many things have changed in so many ways for the better. You know, like music is free, and it's all at our fingertips, and it's an incredible thing, and I love that. But for us people working in it, it's a tougher hustle than it's ever been, and you know. I'm going to leave it there. But it'd be nice if there was a bit more money in it again.
Yeah, that's
and the hustle wasn't like twice as hard, you know, like.
Right. For me, I'm going next because I might get on a soapbox, and I'm just being careful. I'm tight-roping this, walking on a tightrope. I just feel like, I wish there was more opportunities and more money to be made, like Davey said, to do original artistic music and not have to do stupid corporate gigs and stupid bar gigs and wedding gigs to make a living. Like, in our world,
you love playing Uptown Funk.
No, like, in order to make a living and pay my rent, I have to take a lot of those kind of gigs. But I want to play, gigs that are fun. Like, I want to play with Suedehead and play with Sharp Shock and play with, Tigros and all the bands that were original music stuff.
Yeah.
I want to make a living doing that. And I want people to, I just wish it wasn't so much about like how many followers you have and how many, I just wish it was like, you can put cool music out and people can get it, and then you can make money off of that and not have to like tool your balls off and like get paid peanuts for it. So that's my take.
It's definitely, and I think most artists these days, it seems like, I meet a lot of artists are kind of doing their thing relatively full time. And, they're outside the box. They haven't got a record deal. They're DIY and independent, and it's inspiring and it's amazing. But most of these artists that I meet or record or work with, they all kind of seem to have exactly what you just said there, Corey. They kind of have their side gig, or they find something which is their kind of, okay, I have a pretty sweet, cushy gig to have my main kind of income. That's kind of my safety net. And then I get to spend like 3 days a week really pushing my own art.
Right.
And, and again, it's doable. And all these changes in the music industry, I think, have separated, the wheat from the chaff, and are making the real artists, the real creative people that are just born to do it, and they can't. There's no way that they could not do it. It's, it's making those people thrive. But I think everyone's kind of got that side gig in order to do it, and there isn't that record deal anymore that's going to pay the rent whilst you're a developing artist, and that's tough. It's like everyone has to work twice as hard.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I hate using the word hustle, but it's a hustle. The hustle is twice as hard.
Well, it can be done, but you have to hustle. It is like straight up that. These days, I'm amazed that we can make a living doing what we do, but man, you got to work hard at it.
It's rough.
And I think that's why it is, it's like anyone that is doing it is the real deal, because they're in it for the passion and the love, no questions asked.
Well, I just feel like too, and we'll get to your guys' take on it too, but I feel like too, like even when I started playing professionally, when I was in my early 20s, or even like as a teenager, I felt like you could play in a band. You didn't have to have your hands in so many different pots, now I have to do so many different things. I have to play in so many different bands, and I've been fortunate to be able to like take a lot of pickup gigs and sub a lot of stuff and pick up tours and stuff like that. But it's like, I have to run this like any other business, like I have to teach, and I have to have a podcast, and I have to have, I have to play a residency gig, and I have to play, wedding gigs and take these kind of gigs just so I can do like short tours and stuff and not be ready to die after that. You know what I mean? And so we have to spread ourselves so thin nowadays to just make a living. What's your guys' take on it?
Yeah.
It's just, I wish, like we were valued more as musicians. I guess that'll be my short to the long answer. But I just feel like we're, for the most part, when you're getting gigs and stuff, kind of undervalued.
Yeah.
You play a gig, you get there 2 hours before the show, you load in, sound check, play your 4-hour gig, load out. I mean, you're there like, the night.
Yeah.
You get there at 4 and you're out at midnight, Right. And you get chump change.
Yeah.
So, and you break down what that hourly rate is, it's kind of depressing.
Exactly.
So yeah, I would say that's the short of the long answer. Just
yeah.
And I think I'd probably talk for all of us when I say that, like, it's not about money. If you get into music to begin with, it's always out of passion.
Yeah.
But like, so I'm not this kind of like money obsessed person at all. Like, I'd be doing, you pay me anything, I want to be working on music all day, every day. It's the thing that I love most in the world. But it's just, I think these things that you're saying that get a little depressing is that it's like any other trade in the working world is taken seriously, you know, and it's like easy and respectable to be paid a certain hourly wage, but in music, it's like you got to really fight just to kind of get that basic paycheck, whatever it is, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Funky Phil.
Yeah. I mean, everything you guys already said. Like, yeah, more money would be rad. I'd like to have more time to be creative and still be able to make money.
Yeah.
But on another thing that I feel like would be cool would be if pop music was better. I feel like since there's a lack of money in the industry, the record companies don't take chances. Yeah. They don't put out interesting, different varieties of music. It all sounds the same. Yeah. And I'm sick of doing it in cover bands where I have to make money. I have to play all this stupid pop music that sounds exactly the same.
Man, I'm so with you.
Yeah. I'm so with that, man. And I think that I would love to hear guitars and live drums again a little more in pop music, where I feel guitars aren't so relevant anymore. And I feel like, again, on the kind of production studio side of things, everything seems like drum beats and samples, and it's just so heavy on that. Anything that's on the radio, where I'm just like, I've always been a fan of just like human beings hitting drums and guitars and making noise that way. That's always been my preference, and it just feels like that isn't as relevant in pop music today.
Amen to that.
Yes, sir.
Bring the guitar solo back.
Yeah. Well said, everyone. Let's change this music industry now. Just kidding.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Transition time.
Drum Brigade.
Woo.
Drum Brigade. Drum Brigade. Drum Brigade.
Man, Davey, thank you so much for coming on the Drum Brigade podcast, giving us a different perspective, telling us your story. We're going to wrap it up here, but before we do, I just want to let everybody know how they can get a hold of you, or if they want to come see you guys. So you're in a band with Dan Smith. Dan's a tattoo artist. He's like a reality TV star. Really dope bass player, really dope singer, songwriter, all that stuff. You guys are in a band together, and used to be in a band. I used to be in this band, but like beside the point. You guys got some tours coming up. You got an album that just came out, or not too long ago. So just how can people get a hold of you if they want to come see you guys on this tour? How can they do that? And all that stuff, or if they want to get in touch with you for, your producing and songwriting and all that jazz.
Yeah. Well, the best way for, anything studio wise, I've got a website, DaveyWarsop.com, DAVEYWARSOP.com. And anyone can contact me there, send me demos or anything. I'm always down to just kind of correspond with people on music if they need any advice, or if they're looking to record a project or anything. That's where they can get me. The band is called Sharp Shock. I'll spell that as well, because no one can ever understand when I say it. SharpShock, and just go on the Instagram @Sharp Shock. And we're touring with Bouncing Souls and the Bronx at the beginning of May.
Nice.
And when does this podcast air? When will people listen to it?
It'll probably come out tomorrow.
Okay, well, if it comes out tomorrow, we're announcing a couple of shows with Rancid tomorrow.
Wow,
so
nice.
Hopefully that'll...
Hold on. There we go. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's dope, dude. Congrats.
I like it. That was supposed to happen when I first came on the show.
Seriously. Awesome. So do you want us to, we can post this week for the shows. No one listens to the show anyway, dude. So you'll be good.
Hey, but I'll promote it and then millions will.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. That's the only reason why we had you on the Drum Brigade podcast. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Man, congrats on all the stuff that you guys are doing. If you want to get a hold of Davey to have him produce your album, look him up. www, all that stuff, DaveyWarsop.com. Sharp Shock, it's at Sharp Shock Band, I think, right?
Just at Sharp Shock,
at
no
Sharp
band.
Shock. Okay, yeah.
And you know what? Whilst we're at it, we should also plug the band that me and you played in, Suedehead. Obviously, discography, LP, out right now. There's still a few copies. It's on Pirates Press Records. People can get hold of that. That was mine and Corey's band for a little while.
Stoked on that re-release of our we had like 5 EPs, and then they just released a full length for us. Has a gatefold, really dope album, like really dope. So we're stoked on that. Yeah, man. Davey, thank you so much.
Corey, guys, I have to just say a quick word. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. I appreciate you like taking time out to talk to me and ask me my story. And just want to say I love Drum Brigade. I love what you're doing.
Nice,
it's positive. Man. Uniting drummers, and it's a good thing, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Thank you.
Awesome, man. We'll talk soon. Thank you so much for the kind words, and have fun out there.
Big love, gentlemen. See you later.
All right.
Pleasure.
Well, guys, you met him over the airwaves, but not in person. But that's a solid dude right there.
Yeah.
He's a solid dude, man. I told you guys, he knows about drums too.
No,
he used to be a drummer.
Awesome.
No, I like what he had to say.
Yeah. A lot of good info.
Good info, yeah. I think we all need to step up our game on studio, like, what did he call it? Like the corners?
Yeah. Slow down on the corners.
Slow down on the corners, man.
I've never heard it put that way. It's always like transitions, or I like that going around the corners.
Yeah. That's cool, man. He's very much like that, where when you're working with him in the studio, it's like he'll nail it, like telling you what he needs from you, and he's just somehow makes you do it, and it's really cool. So, man, that was awesome having Davey on. We go way back, dude. Like I said, we've been playing together like consistently up until probably like recently. We've been playing consistently like for years together, touring all over and recording, and he's a solid dude, man. Great musician, and yeah, I'm stoked he came on.
Yeah.
Also, James, thank you for coming on too, man.
Thank you for having me here. This is amazing. This is awesome.
Anytime you want to come in and hang with us, man, you're welcome. You can see how our show goes now. It's just lighthearted and fun and easy, and yeah, that's that. Funky Phil, thank you for twisting all the knobs and making it work. And thank you for being you, Funky Phil.
I got to say, part of the magic of this whole thing is seeing Phil in the background, hand motions, faces, dancing.
People don't know.
I'm going to go get up and make myself a mammoth cup of coffee. I think
Phil does not have a cup of coffee. He has a bowl of coffee.
It is a bowl.
It was like the clown car of coffee. It just kept going in.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Phil is people don't understand that, like, people think like I'm just the guy because I'm talking all the time, but Phil is the guy that's like making this really happen. I cannot do the show without Funky Phil twisting the knobs, stressing out over me going, Phil, I need you to do this, and then him going, dude, what am I gonna do? So yeah, thank you for that, Funky Phil. I held a baby today.
You did, yeah.
Baby Milo.
We had a break, and you got to hold the baby.
Yeah. He was stoked because I'm so tall.
He's a stout little man, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I can't wait till he could like beat me up like Fee does.
He's probably going to be as tall as you.
I don't see that possible, dude.
He's going to be supposed to be taller than me and Charlotte.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that'd be dope.
He's going to be able to reach all the high places for us. It'll be great.
Well, he's already taller than you, Funky Phil. Just saying.
It doesn't take much.
I'm just kidding. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on the Drum Brigade Podcast. It's show number 27. Oh, man, we done did it. Davey Warsop, James Coleman, Corey Kingston, Funky Phil. Drum Brigade. Drum Brigade. Drum Brigade.